So it seems like we went back in time once again. Yes, we're in 2022, but it does kind of start to feel like we're entering 2020 again, at least with the way Nintendo is handling things. We know that there was no official E3 press conference this year for anybody because E3 was canceled until next year apparently. But this meant every company was left to fend for themselves and come up with their own ways of showing off their information. And most companies like Xbox and Sony had their own little small presentations and kind of talked about different games coming out. Xbox is a little bigger, and some companies decided to just have some weird things going on, like Sega decided to show Sonic off through IGN first. I don't know what that even is, but anyways, some companies also decided to just do nothing at all, and of course that one of the only companies that decided to do that was Nintendo. Nintendo kind of just let June go by with a couple of small updates and announcements on Twitter with a couple of game-specific directs like for Xenoblade, but for the most part there was really nothing from Nintendo. The last thing we got of June was a partner direct. I'm gonna be honest, at least for me, it wasn't that bad. I got my Pac-Man world, baby, I'm good. But at the same time, I understand with a lot of people and still myself, Nintendo, we're the first party games. They gotta show off the first party games. This isn't, a replacement for Nintendo Directs. They can't just continue to do this the way they did in 2020. Why is Nintendo doing this? Is it really that hard for them to generate a, little presentation put together of trailers of stuff that's coming out and stuff that they want to announce? People say, well, if they have games, they're going to announce them. And that's what I'm worried about. Do they actually have games? Because I feel like a presentation is just kind of needed at this point. But I don't know. Nintendo, at least this week, has decided to go back to the good old classic Twitter reveals. And my question today is this just as good as a Direct? So first we have to talk about this week. Nintendo seems to announce something new every single day this week, or at least that's what it looked like they were doing. Obviously, except for Monday, that's normally not a day they announce stuff. But Tuesday, we got Kirby's Dream Buffet. Wednesday, we got Bayonetta 3, more information, release date, a new trailer, all types of cool stuff dropped on Twitter. And then today, Thursday, we were expecting something, and nothing happened. So once again, it kind of deflated us. It would have been really cool to have a new game announcement or some new type of announcement or update on a previous game every single day this week, and that would have kind of worked in a way, kind of like a Nintendo Direct, somehow, at least getting people excited to wake up to something new. But Nintendo just said, you know what, we just wanted to do that for 2 days and now we're done. But the big rumor is before the weekend, Nintendo will have more information and finally talk about Wave 2 of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's DLC pack. We've been waiting for so long for Wave 2, and it just kind of makes sense. I'm really hoping that, and if that's the case, it's got to be tomorrow morning, right? Friday morning, we got to have some type of information about Mario Kart Wave 2. I'm just praying at this point. I'm hoping it would be great. I don't know if it's going to release later in the day or if it's going to release over the weekend or maybe even next week. I don't even care when it comes out. Just please announce the DLC. Show us what the tracks are. Show us what's going to be added this time around. And just get people excited again generally about the game. So using this method to talk about new games or maybe to even announce new games randomly throughout the week via Twitter, is that the best way Nintendo can handle this? Let me look at both sides first. And I'm going to, of course, go negative first because I think it's mostly negative. I think it's negative because it doesn't really generate enough hype and kind of advertising for that game. It's kind of just like, here's the game. Not everybody has Twitter. Not everybody's, gathered around in, the morning hours waiting to see if Nintendo drops a game. Most people are, are going to hear about, hey, there's a Nintendo Direct coming out. Hey, there's a big presentation Nintendo's having. Hey, there's a big thing Nintendo's doing a spotlight, and then everybody gathers around for that specific time on that specific day, and everybody can react together. You get a lot more publicity for the game. A lot of people are all reacting to the game. People are posting their reactions to the big games and stuff, and everybody's seeing the game. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's covering it live. It's just a really big deal when you have these Nintendo Direct presentations. I feel like just throwing something out on Twitter is just not doing enough justice. And let me kind of explain also what I'm talking about. Hopefully they don't do this with any big new games. For instance, there is still a huge rumor that Metroid Prime Remaster is coming at the end of this year, and that it could very well be announced very soon. And if it is, it's probably going to be announced via some type of, Twitter shadow drop again. And let me tell you right now, Metroid is the type of series and franchise right now that deserves the most attention it could possibly get, and the biggest amount of spotlight during like a Nintendo Direct or something. This is not going to sit good if they just come out on Twitter and say, hey, by the way, Metroid Prime Remaster is coming out to the Nintendo Switch later this year, compared to them having a big segment in the Nintendo Direct showing off the Metroid Prime Remaster and talking about it and having a voiceover and a whole bunch of stuff going deep dive into it. It's just not the same, and it's not going to, gain the same attraction. Now, I don't think it's a problem when you're announcing like DLC or updates or maybe, a second trailer to a game that's already been announced, or maybe you're just kind of, giving more information about something like they did with Xenoblade and Fire Emblem 3 Hopes and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that. And even the new Kirby's Dream Buffet, which is a small Kirby spin-off game coming to the eShop sometime this summer, that's incredibly fine to release as a Twitter drop. I don't see that being a big issue. But when it comes to these big game releases, Nintendo can't afford to do this. They did that in 2020 with Paper Mario The Origami King and Hyrule Warriors. I don't think it's a big deal. I think the game still did well on their own, but they probably could have done a lot better if they had even more publicity and kind of a big reveal instead of just a random thing on Twitter one morning. People still talked about it and went over it, but still, it's just not the same to me. Now let's look at the good of doing this. It's still pretty exciting to get little bit of announcements here and there and then see them as you go throughout the week, instead of just waiting for one big day and then, you know, either getting disappointed or super excited and then all the hype is gone and then you have to wait another 4 months for the next Nintendo Direct. It is kind of fun to just, you know, you never know when you're going to expect something new from Nintendo or a crazy new announcement, so it does keep you on your toes constantly and kind of spreads out content as well for content creators to kind of, you know, just wait for the next big thing and then talk about different things each week. It actually is pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. I also think at least it's a good sign that Nintendo's saying something. They could easily just not mention it, but then again, they kind of have to. I mean, like, if the game is coming out and, you know, the Bayonetta team wants their game to be, you know, announced and the date to be brought up, they kind of have to give out the date. They got to give us information about a game that's coming out in like a couple of months. So at the same time, I'm glad they're talking about it, but also they kind of had to. They're in a, you know, a situation where they really can't afford to just not talk about a game that's releasing in the next couple of months. But when you really sit and think about it, this all kind of makes sense. You know, Nintendo already missed June, so having a Direct in July would really probably just mean that there's nothing coming in September, which would be kind of upsetting not to get any information on any games coming in the next year, because September is normally that big time to see what's coming next for Nintendo in the following years, and we would probably not get anything in September because of that. So that would be kind of upsetting, so I guess it's fine to just kind of float through the rest of July and the rest of the summer with August, and then September will be here before we know it, but I'm just afraid that Nintendo is going to continue to go on without having a Nintendo Direct. I feel like they almost can't afford to do that because there's so many big games that could be coming next year. They definitely have to talk about Breath of the Wild 2 very soon, and I think, you know, it's time for that next big Mario game. I can't believe, you know, it's super exciting to even speak that, but yeah, that next big Mario game, I'm almost 100% sure it'll be coming by next year, probably around holiday season. So that means we should be getting kind of close to a reveal of it very soon, and that could very well be coming in September. Maybe there's just going to be a bigger Direct than we expect coming, and maybe it'll all make up for it. That's super exciting to think about, and remember, once again, September is very, very close. It's a lot closer than we think, so let's just wait a little while longer, and we could have some big surprises here soon. But thank you to everybody that has tuned in today. If you liked this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Nintendo all the time, and let's just hope that Nintendo announces this Mario Kart DLC tomorrow. I have to hope extra hard, because if you haven't seen in my last couple of videos, I made a bet with everybody that if Nintendo didn't reveal this next wave of Mario Kart DLC this week, or at least launch the DLC by Monday of next week, that I would eat a bowl of hot dog soup. Yeah, it's like milk with just cut up hot dogs in it. I guess hot dog cereal, if anything. It's disgusting, but I'm afraid I'm gonna have to do it tomorrow. I feel like it's like my last chance. So come on, Nintendo, reveal this thing. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.